It's Tuesday, June 21st, 2016. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geek Nights. Tonight, we talk about people who may or may not know a lot about games and how bad they might be, but all in good fun. Thanks to Reddit. I don't know what the fuck to call this episode.
Let's do this.
So we like going to Wildwood. Like, even though it's kind of in the bottom of New Jersey, we have a long history of going to Wildwood and like friends, and it's a very nostalgic place. And for the East Coast of the U.S., it's one of the best beaches in terms of actual sand beach.
You know, even in Florida, it's technically still the East Coast.
All right, yeah, the Northeast Coast.
I mean, there's Virginia. I guess it's below the Mason-Dixon line, but Virginia
Have you
Beach,
been to Virginia Beach?
I've seen pictures of it.
Have you been to it? It's usually crowded and kind of meh.
Oh, it looked nice in the picture.
I mean, a lot of things.
I've never been there.
Rockaway looks real nice in the picture.
It is nice.
I wouldn't swim there that long.
Mm.
Yeah. So anyway.
Could do worse.
But I tend to don't go, like, I'll bike to Rockaway, but then I don't, like, change into swimsuits and swim or, like, spend the day
where the
laying
fuck
around
am I
going to
put my bike?
Yep.
While I'm in the water. And then what? I'm going to bike back wet?
Yep.
How is that going to work?
So Emily and I, this
the
past
logistics
weekend,
are not there.
Tipped off by Gothamist because apparently this seems like it's a relatively new thing, and it's one of those things that eventually, like, regular New Yorkers are going to figure it out and ruin it for all of us. But right now, there's this express ferry that goes from 35th Street, like that ferry terminal, direct to Sandy Hook Beach, which I didn't actually even know existed.
It's just a North Jersey beach.
It's it's north of North Jersey, because there's Jersey kind of like goes up to that point, and the barrier islands are to the right, and all the Jersey Shore places are in the barrier like islands, the barrier peninsulas. But to get to this beach driving, you have to go all the way around into North Jersey and then turn left and go up north to actually get to it. Like, it's popping up over the top. From the beach, you can actually see Manhattan and like the Verrazano Narrows Bridge and all that crap. Like, it's like kind of like off the coast of Staten Island. And I just never really thought about that place. And from New York, it would be a super pain in the ass to get there. Like, it's actually harder to get there than to get to other beaches that are further south, unless you take a boat. So this boat is like $30 round trip.
That's a lot of monies.
Yeah, but it's way less money than car or any other way to get to this beach. In fact, if you drive to the beach, it costs like $20 just to park there. So the ferry takes like 40 minutes, gets us right to the beach. There's bike paths everywhere up there. There's like no cars. You can bike everywhere. It's like great biking. There's like 4 beaches, and they're great beaches. The water is super clean. It's clearer and cleaner feeling than Wildwood's water. Even though, and apparently I was reading up about the beach, it's because of where it's situated, it's sort of shielded from the New York stuff. So it's like very different water quality from all the other beaches in the New York area. It's more like swimming way further south would be normally. And the other interesting thing is there used to be a nuclear anti-aircraft battery on this island. So there's museums and like all this stuff.
Nuclear anti-aircraft show it's trying to shoot nukes, theoretically would shoot nukes at planes?
Yes, the idea was...
Why? That is a bad idea.
So this is in the 50s, and I knew a little bit about this, but I didn't really...
Oh, they couldn't hit the plane, so they figured, well, just shoot a big enough AoE.
It is way worse than that. So we had the Nike missiles, right? Like Nike Ajax, Nike Hercules.
They weren't very good.
Well, they were... the original missile had a conventional explosive, and it would shoot up. It was the first, like, missile rocket artillery. It would shoot up and hit a bomber. Awesome.
Yeah, bomber's big and easy to hit.
And they had this because they were worried about a Soviet nuclear bomber coming in to nuke New York.
Yeah, I mean, that was a good plan.
And then the Cold War progressed a little bit, and instead of the worry being one Soviet bomber, it was squadron of Soviet bombers. So the idea was, why don't we just blow up a nuke over New York to blow up all the bombers?
Why don't you just use your fighters? You can shoot the bombers down. They're pretty big and slow.
There's reasons for that.
And our fighters are better.
I'm not
going
to turn the front of the show into why it was the way it was, but I'll put it this way. We were looking at it because I didn't know a lot about like the Nike Ajax, Nike Hercules. I knew a little bit just because that's like basic war history. So we're looking at
which part of this is left at the beach?
So the whole fucking thing, like the batteries are there.
There's just nukes there waiting.
So obviously the nuke payload is not in them anymore. The fuel's not in them anymore. But there's like, they've got them there as like museum pieces for you to check out. And they've got the
like whenever you go to the veterans place and there's like a missile out in the front and it's empty. It's just a big metal shell.
Here's what's terrifying. They're really small 2-stage missiles. And looking at them, I was like, can't be that big a yield. I mean, this would be used for anti-air. I was like, what are these? Like, maybe, like, are they a kiloton? No, these things are fucking, like, I think it went up to 80 or 90 kilotons. We're talking 9 Hiroshimas.
Yep. Okay.
And yeah, the radar array is there. And apparently on special days, I got the schedule. I want to go back. They do tours of the actual facility where all this shit is. Now, they'd only do it. They do it
Really,
like
you park your bike outside.
yeah, we parked our bike outside everywhere. There was totally safe. Now, granted, it was safety in numbers. One, everyone bikes everywhere on this island. There's bike racks everywhere. You can't get cars near the bike racks. So like the kinds of bike thievery that go on in Manhattan can't really happen there. New York riffraff can't easily get there because the expensive ferry. New Jersey riffraff can't easily get there because it's a long drive and you have to pay a lot of money to park there or bike in. Bike thievery seems to be pretty uncommon there. Like most people weren't even locking their bikes up. But no, we fucking locked our bikes up. No one stole them though, but partly because we both have beefy locks. So we locked our bikes together mutually to the pole. So if the three of us went, daddy 3 locks. But yeah, so there's all these batteries there, like old batteries from like early World War I and late Civil War. There's so much cool history on the island and great beaches. One of the beaches is special. There's like a bunch of beaches at different places along the island, but one of the beaches is technically owned by the federal government and is not New Jersey state land. So you can have alcohol on the beach. There are basically no rules except federal rules on the beach, and you can be naked on the beach. So it's the nude beach.
Fort Tilden is the same way, though.
Yeah, but unlike this beach has like all these beaches here also have a lot of facilities and way better showers and changing rooms and things than a lot of beaches. So it was just a great place. And I'm gonna go there a bunch of times, but not immediately because kind of got a little bit sunburned.
Why did you bring lotions?
I did a lot of swimming and I rubbed it off and didn't correctly fully reapply. So my sides, where my arms rubbed it off, yeah, it's bad news bears.
That's another problem with swimming mid-bike.
Yeah, the thing is, what we did is we biked around for like a few hours, then we went to the beach.
That's also a problem with the nude beach, right? Suddenly you got to put lotion in all the places.
Honestly, if I'm on a nude beach, I'm not going to be super nude because I am not going to ever risk burning the young master and his merry men. Holy shit, is that literally one of my biggest fears is a sunburn down there.
All peeling off, can't use it. When every time you pee, you got to touch it and ow, 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 ow.
Yep. Especially because this would not have been nearly so bad when I was a younger man because I used to wear boxers all the time. But son, as you get older, it's boxer briefs time. And boxer briefs plus a sunburn down there, I feel like I just would call in sick.
I mean, even just sunburning your ass is not good. You sit down. Ow.
Yep.
Ow. Ow. It doesn't matter what you're wearing.
I think I'd wear a kilt.
Unless you're wearing like a freeze ice pack, like a mushy gel one as underwear.
But yeah, I plan to go to this beach on a semi-regular basis.
Or imagine like rubbing cool aloe like all over your butt.
So it was just cool, and you should check it out. And I'm going to find out when I can go see, because apparently, like, I suspect there are still some sort of like anti-aircraft things there because there's a lot of military personnel who work there still. So the tours of the nuclear shit are like tightly controlled on certain specific days.
You gonna shoot somebody?
I don't know. Also, the Park Service is like all over this place. So like there's all these old gigantic gun batteries and abandoned forts and everything. And there's Park Services people just standing there. And if you bike up, they're like, hey, you want to come inside and like check this shit out? And they give you a flashlight and a hard hat, and they're like, "Let's go!" And they just tell you all the history and answer any questions, and they're all 100% chill.
Don't they have anything better to do?
No, that's what their job is stand there and like,
all day, every day. What do you do in the winter?
In the winter, you can still go to this island. There's a bunch of stuff there.
It's a pretty weird job.
Yeah, Park Service is kind of awesome. I wish we had more of that. So yeah, that was my weekend.
I just bike to normal places.
Nah.
Don't have to spend money in Arden, New Jersey.
Well, I was on federal land for a part of it.
Yeah, I didn't go to the federal lands this weekend.
So, in the actual news, you got any news? Because it's gaming day and such?
There's this fiasco people are talking about here, right?
Ooh, a fiasco.
Well, sort of a fiasco, whatever.
The game fiasco?
So no. Nothing to do with that. So there's this company, Tiny Bill. Is it called Tiny Build? It's called something like that. What happened? I lost the link. No.
Uh-oh. Radio silence. GeekNights is off the air. I got to fill it with patter until Scott comes back online with his link on his iPad, I guess. And I'm running out of steam. So I've been playing a lot of Overwatch. I can start talking about Overwatch. I figured out how to deal with the situation where you're pushing and it's overtime.
Okay. They took the link off the top of the page, so I had to like scroll down to find it.
That.
Anyway, so Tiny Build, which made some games like Speedrunners and games I never heard of, whatever. They basically, here's what happened. They set up a website to sell their game. So you go to their website, Tiny Build, you buy the game, and they give you a Steam code. Then you use the Steam code and you have the game. This way, instead of buying the game on Steam, you buy the game from them. Right?
Yep, real common.
Sure, whatever. So there's this other website, G2A, which is apparently the shadiest of shady fucks. And what G2A does is basically let you resell game codes. So you would buy a game code, or maybe you have a game that you don't want, or right?
Already, that's the kind of thing that if I didn't know what I know about the game industry, I'd be thinking that sounds like a pretty cool site.
I mean, in principle, that's perfectly okay, right? If I buy a Humble Bundle and there's a game I already got, and I don't want to gift the game to anyone or whatever, why shouldn't I be able to sell that code, right?
Yeah.
It's the right of first sale. And, in that aspect, G2A is fine, right? So you go on G2A, you put your code, someone else buys it from you, they get the code, they use it on Steam, and they get the game, right? It's nothing wrong with that in principle. Apparently, though, G2A is like shady as fuck, and they really don't give a crap if like people are selling bullshit codes or whatever. So the scam is this. People go out and they look for people selling game codes that have shitty web stores, like Tiny Bill's own personal store. And they use fraudulent stolen credit cards to buy codes. They resell the codes on G2A to basically money launder them and turn them into real money. Then, obviously, the transaction gets canceled. So now the person with the original store has given away the game, the code that's going to work, but now they don't get any money because it was a fraudulent credit card. But meanwhile, now it's the person who used the stolen credit card has the money because they resold the code at like a good price or even, discount or whatever. So the game got given to some legitimate gamer who bought the code, who wants to play it. So sometimes, I think in certain cases, what they've done is they've invalidated those codes. And now someone paid money to a scammer and now doesn't even have a game.
Yep. Now, granted, I
the
feel
scammer
like
still has the money.
Yeah.
Okay. So the two, I think that, everyone here is blaming G2A, which, yeah, you should blame G2A because basically it appears they don't give a fuck about shit like this. And they're like, wee, we're making money. They don't care. They're just so scammy and don't give a crap. And they're like, hooray, we're making so much money from these scammers. Please continue selling shady shit. But also, some blame needs to be put on, I guess it's sort of victim blaming. It's sort of like, oh, you didn't lock your door and your house got robbed. But at the same time, you're really dumb if you don't even lock your door to your house and you have valuable shit in there.
Yep.
Don't make your own fucking web store. It's like everyone complains that like Apple or Steam or whoever is taking a cut.
Dude, guys,
right?
we tried to, Scott and I, we were going to do some e-commerce way back, and I started setting up a Magento server. Yeah, fuck that. Never pay someone else to handle all that stuff for you.
They're upset that someone else is taking a cut, so they set up their own web store. And
no,
it's like,
let them take the cut.
Yeah, because you know what? Now they're like, I think they said they were so upset. It's like we've spent more time developing anti-credit card fraud than developing games. It's like, why are you developing that? You could have just bought it.
Yeah, that cut.
Or instead of buying it, you could have just paid someone else, like Apple, the cut they take, which is going towards things like this.
Yep, the cut. That's because I work on Wall Street in my day job, and one of the primary arguments and discussions that always happens is build versus buy. Do you build something or buy it? The answer is almost never to build it.
Unless it's your primary thing, you don't build it, right?
Unless it's the thing making you money, just buy someone else's.
Right, and it was even I think 1 or 2 weeks ago, John Oliver did a thing about, he let people know about, something we knew already, which is like, hey, yeah, mutual funds and have mad fees on them.
Yep.
Right? But it's like, he wasn't like, yeah, find one with no fees. It's like, no, because your fee is still buying you something, which is a smart person buying stocks, so you don't have to, right? It's not,
watch out for robo-advisors, because that's kind of making that less and less. But anyway.
Yeah, no, but the point is that if you want to do something without having to work, there's fees to cover shit like this.
Yep.
Right? So
it's kind of like
if you're Tiny Build and you lose, apparently they say they've lost $450,000, right? Because of this, it's like, well, that's what you get for opening up your own goddamn store and doing something that isn't your own deal. You should have just sold your stuff on Amazon and Google and Apple and let them take the cut and Steam, whatever.
Yep. I mean, the primary blame still falls on the scammers themselves.
Obviously, that's the other thing. If G2A didn't exist, right, and wasn't doing this or wasn't being shady, there would be, even if you bought these codes with stolen credit cards, you'd have no way to turn those codes, to launder those codes into money, and there would be no point in buying codes with stolen credit cards.
The credit card
in the first
companies
place.
also are a little culpable because they have a lot of capacity to recognize trends of fraudulent use and deal with that.
They do to some extent, but they don't do it. It's weird. It's like if I use my card at like a store I never go to, it won't work and I'll get a phone call.
Yep.
But if some legit stolen credit cards are used to buy game codes like 1,000 times at the same store, they don't do anything. It's like, I don't know what their anti-fraud system is, but
So actually, my credit card number got stolen a bunch of times in rapid succession due to a breach, I think, with a bank or whatever. Like there's a credit card processing or there's some sort of big, like super top level breach. It was years ago. And every time it got stolen and used until like finally it just stopped because the big high up person had fixed it. It was always at the same Target store in like Tennessee.
Wasn't Target the place that had a breach?
Might have been, but I haven't shopped at a Target like ever.
Yeah.
So it wasn't. My credit card number was not breached because of Target. Just Target was the store where people were using the fraudulent credit cards that they'd cloned or whatever to make purchases.
But yeah, it's also the law's fault, right? Because if I was the government, I would just say credit card companies, as in Visa, MasterCard, American Express, you're responsible for all of the costs associated with it. Not merchants, not customers, not anyone else. It's going to be you no matter what.
And I would say then? You can't use credit cards online at all unless you have a chip reader in your house plugged into your computer.
And then I would say, no, you just have to fucking deal with it, Visa. Fuck you. Because that's the law we passed.
This is why you're not president, nor are you a member of Congress.
Why not? Deal with it.
Okay.
You're a multi-bajillion-dollar international company like Visa. Fucking deal with it. If there's losses involved, you eat them. Fuck you.
Scott,
you're gonna have plenty of fucking money.
If you're gonna go that route, there's a better way.
What's the better way?
You just fucking nationalize the credit cards.
That's a great idea too.
You don't tell the private company, fuck you, do what we want. You say you're a public company now.
That'd be fine too.
You're owned by the public, as in the federal government.
That actually sounds great too. I'd be like, hey, guess what? Visa, MasterCard, and American Express, we're eliminating all of you. There's now one thing. It's called U.S. card system.
Yeah. GeekNights listeners, in case you didn't realize, like we're pretty radically far left on a lot of issues.
I'm okay with that. It sounds great.
But there's also like there's a little
you can
bit
get rid
of
of all
blame.
and you know what? You could also get rid of all those stupid things that, like you get your ATM card and there's all those weird symbols on the back.
Yep.
It's like, which ATM you can get rid of all those too and join them in the same system.
So a little bit of blame goes on the people who buy stuff on G2A, because when you see a game for sale for like a penny or $1 somewhere, there's almost no way that's legit.
Yeah, sure, but hey.
Also, like
at least that person's a legit gamer. They're probably a poor high school kid with no money. That's the only way they can get a game.
I looked at G2A's website for the first time.
Yep.
I would have assumed it was a scam if I didn't know better.
That's the site I'm never gonna give money to.
Dude, at the top it has a little money bag sign and it says G2A Gold Mine, earn real money with us. No, this site sets off all my phishing radar.
Yeah.
So G2A, yeah.
If you want to buy a game, just buy. It's like, dude, the Steam sale isn't cheap enough for you. You gotta go to G2A.
You're bitching about paying, $5 instead of $1 on a shady site. Like, come on, guys. I mean, I bought Overwatch like immediately at full price, but that game's not gonna get cheaper.
Yeah, I think there's also, part of it is that with G2A, you can, and if you don't have a credit card, you're some punk kid, you can earn money doing G2A nonsense.
Yeah,
and then buy games with,
That's exactly. I was about to get to that because that is the game store model as well. Like trade in your games.
Yep.
I feel like that business model of target kids who can't get credit cards should not be allowed, and simultaneously there should be an easier way to give kids credit cards that their parents control.
You should be able to go into any bank, even
if you're
give them cash, and they should have to give you a card that is worth that amount of cash that can be used
Well, you can do
anywhere.
that at like any Target or Rite Aid or whatever.
Yeah, you get a gift card.
No, you can buy like Visa debit cards or whatever.
Yeah, sure, but sometimes those don't work.
No, I'm saying like when I was a young kid, like when I was a teenager, I was like lucky because my parents were internet and I was internet, so they got me a credit card when I was real young that they were also on the account. So even as a punk kid, I could use a credit card to do stuff online. In the modern era, it is ridiculous that 13-year-olds can't have credit cards.
I mean, when I
a
was
13-year-old needs a credit card just like they need a smartphone.
When I was in high school, I bought stuff by buying it online and then mailing a check to the place.
Wow.
And that worked. It worked real well. And then when I was in college, Rim was like, the reason I didn't get a credit card was simply because I figured I didn't have any credit. They wouldn't send me one. And Rim was like, they'll totally send you one. So I went to a website and he filled out the form. And sure enough, a credit card came in the mail. I'm like, oh, okay. We're good.
But like in the modern era, it's ridiculous to expect a 12-year-old to not have a cell phone. And it's ridiculous to expect the 12-year-old shouldn't have cards they can use to interact with the modern world of currency and commercial transactions. So, in other news, this is sort of an interesting thing. So, Overwatch is getting, patches and updates and everything. But Jeff Kaplan, who is the game director, actually posted a very long sort of discussion of the changes they're making and the rationale and basically everything around the matchmaking in Overwatch. And the matchmaking in
Blizzard
Overwatch...
has like the most advanced matchmaking on Earth.
That they do. And Overwatch is, he even admitted, is basically a special problem, even more so than other games of its ilk.
Really? I mean,
wasn't
it the same problem as TF2? Or
TF2 didn't have that much of a skill cap, and the characters weren't actually that much different.
Oh, I guess, yeah, if there's less skill, then it doesn't matter as much who you're paired with because you have much more leeway. It's like if you mispair people, it won't ruin the game as much. Whereas if you mispair in a high skill cap game, right, that one person's going to kill everybody. Also,
the matches are very different. Like, the matches function more like a sports game in terms of how they're structured than a server of capture the flag or whatever. Like, I'm not reviewing the game, so I'll kind of sidestep just explaining what I mean by all that. But also because of the grouping, like it's 6-on-6, and you can pick from all these different characters, and the characters are so radically different, and you can change characters mid-match. And you're expected to. Like, I'll run Diva for half the match, but then during a clutch moment, I switch to Winston and they go back to Diva. Like, people do stuff like that. So the matchmaking's crazy complicated. But the two really interesting things, that you should just read this thing, I'm not going to paraphrase it all for you, is one, he said that if they broadly describe how it works, they can summarize match results into 5 broad buckets. My team won. We beat the other team by a long shot. 2, my team barely won. My team barely lost. My team lost, and it wasn't even close. And then the last category is this match was somehow fucked up or broken.
Someone dropped out.
Yeah, like people dropped out. It didn't have the max number of players.
You didn't even play the game.
Like maybe the ping average.
So half of Rocket League games.
Oh, hey-oh. But what's interesting is that if you ask the average gamer, like, what kind of game do you want to play? They would say that the games they want the most are the 2 middle ones. My team barely won or my team barely lost. Like,
that's bullshit.
The close fair fight.
No, they want to win.
Quote, most players will say they want a match to be either type 2 or type 3 as I described above. Those sound even, barely win or barely lose. But I believe when psychology comes into play, most players actually expect type 1 or type 2 to be the result. Even amazingly, a close type 3, the my team barely lost, can turn into a, quote, highly negative experience for a lot of players.
Right. People who don't have, most gamers on the earth, right, do not have the competitive mindset. They do not actually want to measure their skills against the skills of another person and have the result declare one person more skilled. That makes them upset, especially if they lose. If they win, they don't care, but if they lose, it makes them very upset.
Oh, it's worse than that, because they don't just want to win and have a close game. They prefer to win soundly, to be like
This is why games like Pandemic and Munchkin and all these things are very, very popular, especially compared to the only people who play games like Counter-Strike or Dota are like, hardcore type.
No, this is an aside. I don't know. I heard there's a Munchkin CCG. Like, I ignored it. Like, I don't know.
Yep, I watched a video about it.
Okay, so if I were going to make that game, I don't know what the real game is. I've literally not looked at it. I would make it, I'll just keep selling cards forever, and there's basically almost no rules of what you can put in your deck, and just the nerd who brings the most fucked up deck will win in any given group. It's just like this ARG game almost.
All right, whatever.
That's what I would do. Just give in to the fact that
It seems like they made
BS.
a real game.
You see, that's the problem.
But
you can't make it a real game.
It includes silliness of Munchkin, for example, dropping a card and seeing where it lands.
Yeah, see, I would go crazy. I'd have cards that be like, if you're at a Penny Arcade Expo, this monster is worth plus 10 levels or whatever. Like, I would go nuts. I would make the game less of a game because I'd make it more like we didn't playtest this at all. But I digress. So he talks about that a lot, like the matchmaking and how players will say they want even matches, but really they just want to win. But something really fascinating happened. There's a feature that I've used that I really liked, and it's interesting that I did not anticipate the problem with this feature, and Blizzard apparently did not anticipate the problem either. They're removing the feature now because of this problem. I mean, smart people might have come up with it if they really thought about it, but the idea is in this matchmaking system, this is a game you play in public, so you can block other people from like your chats or whatever, and you can report people for being shitty, and Blizzard takes all that super seriously. But you also have the option to avoid a player. So if someone's a bitch, like they're just annoying little shitbird, or they're, whatever causes them to be annoying or not fun to have on your team or play with, you can say avoid this player, and it'll take that into account whenever it's matchmaking you. What actually happened is that most people would click avoid on anyone who ever beat them. They never wanted to play against people who were better than them.
Of course
ever.
not, right.
And that started being a huge problem because basically good players could never find games. And apparently the way they figured it out was that one of the best players in the country, like in the world, he plays Widowmaker, the sniper, and he's
the one that requires the most skill.
Yes, this Widowmaker might be number 2 in terms of skill, but anyway, this person, I don't know if it's a guy or a girl, I didn't fully read this, but basically they were complaining that they could never get matched up, like they'd never find games. It would take forever. Let me see if I can find the actual quote, because it was real interesting.
Even other really skilled people didn't want to play?
Well, you've got to find a match they could be in. Here it is. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. I'm reading this whole thing. We realized the avoid this player was wreaking havoc on matchmaking. One of the best Widowmaker players in the world complained to us about long queue times. We looked into it and found that hundreds of other players had avoided him. Quote, he's a nice guy. They avoided him because they did not want to play against him because he's good, not because of any misbehavior.
Right, you don't want to play basketball against Michael Jordan.
Well, I do, because that would be a fascinating
You're not,
experience.
but it's like, see, part of it is like
I want to lose to ridiculous people just because that's one hell of an experience.
Well, yeah, so here's the problem, right? It depends a lot on the game, right? If I play basketball against Michael Jordan, it's not fun because the skill difference is so big. Even old Michael Jordan, today Michael Jordan, the skill difference is still so big. I would never touch the ball. I would never do anything meaningful. I would never, right? And so it's like I'm not even playing basketball. I'm literally just standing there, maybe running around ineffectively. I'm not even playing the game. It's not, even if I'm not upset by losing, I don't get to do anything.
Now
right?
I wouldn't want to play that game more than once.
For example, though, I would love to say go in a car race again. Like if I could drive an F1 car and not die against even Lewis Hamilton, right? It'd be great because even though he's gonna lap me like 10 times, and maybe I'll stall, and who knows what'll happen to me, I'm gonna still have the fun of driving the car. I can still enjoy the experience of playing, right? So it depends on the game. In a game like FPS, say Quake, right? If you're up against someone really, really, really good, especially like Quake 3, that open map, the one where it's just like you're bouncing all everywhere.
Yeah.
It's literally spawn, railgun to the head, spawn, railgun to the head, spawn, railgun to the head, right? You won't even get to walk around or pick up items or even shoot a rocket, so it won't be fun. But if the game is such where even against a really good player, you can actually still do stuff, you just won't win, and maybe even kill him once, then it's okay, at least by me. But against other people, they just can't deal with losing, period.
So
because they don't actually want a competitive game.
It appeared to be the better players
they just want fun.
Avoiding this guy because there was a secondary, like even worse problem.
Was that good?
Yeah. So, I mean, I used to play in clans, like Ken. He was one of our snipers. Like when I'd do skirmishes with them, or like I'd play Mega TF or Weapons Factory. In Weapons Factory, he was good. So if he was up in the battlements in like a 2-fort map, that was just a no man's land in between the two. It'd be like the snipers dueling, and no one could even go out there.
Right.
Everyone had to go alternate routes. But there was a secondary effect that's even funnier. Because it could never find a match, it would keep widening the net of who it would match this person up against. So eventually, it would open it up to the lower skill players. So whenever he did find a game, it would only ever be against noobs. So it made it even worse.
And and then those noobs block him, and he fights even noobier people all the time.
And eventually, he's just by himself playing against like literally someone who logged in and then died at the controls.
Right. So I think one of the solutions to this that I advocate for that the game companies seem to hate is to literally segregate the population, right? They're so against segregating your player base into two or more groups.
Well, you can't like in
But
NS.
Blizzard's games, especially Overwatch more than anything, have so many players.
Yes.
I think that they could afford to do it. You should have serious mode and not serious
yes,
mode.
So that is coming. That is actually one of the changes that is coming.
And serious mode should be completely different from regular
Serious mode has different rules, and it like they talked about that. Like in
Right.
regular mode, just the way the game is, the games will often go into overtime if the teams are well matched. In serious mode, overtime is a lot more brutal and hopefully a lot more rare.
Right. Also, I think that what I've been thinking of for serious mode is it should be a lot more serious in terms of the money.
You bring this up every time we talk about this topic.
It shouldn't be free to be in serious mode, because if you're serious, you should be willing to pay money. And
what if you're good but just poor?
Then if you have mad skills, then you can play in serious mode, and as long as you
Who
don't
decides whether or not you have to pay? Is it going to be like Kavoth or whatever, and he gets the reverse scholarship or all that stuff?
How does the NFL decide who to give fines to when they misbehave?
Yeah, but those people are being paid.
Right. If you're so good that you're in serious mode and you've misbehaved, then fuck you.
Scott, I don't think that's going to be a problem. Serious
you
mode
can you can choose just not to play in serious mode if you can't
I don't think people
go into serious mode for free. And then, as long as you don't misbehave, you won't have to pay anything.
I don't think there is enough of a problem of serious mode in games like this to warrant financial penalties.
I think there should be some real penalties, not just like banning and kicking for people who misbehave in a game. And then you could ensure that serious mode is like this beautiful community of happiness, because all the shitheads, you're fucking kicked out. All they do is
so
all they
Overwatch
seem to be doing
is already doing a very good job. Like Blizzard bans people and permanently bans them.
Yes, they're permanently banning them, which is fine. But
what?
I would much rather put a bigger hurt on those people.
Why? The goal. I thought the goal of a justice system is 1, prevent harm. 2, if harm happens, redress it to the biggest extent possible. Punishment is not even a factor. So why are you here so keen on punishment? Shouldn't the only goal being to prevent harm?
Yeah, prevent a lot more.
So you're saying that by punishing people, by causing that kind of harm in a sanctioned way, you're preventing more harm? Is that where you're going?
The threat of a fine versus the threat of a ban will dissuade people from doing it in the first place.
I think the threat of a ban is actually going... So the other day, someone used a derogatory term in a match. And I messaged him right away. It's like, I'm going to report you. And he was like, what for? And I was like, you said, and the player like actually was like, oh, and like apologized, and then was like super nice the whole rest of the match.
I'd still report him.
I did anyway, but but they did apologize, and it was like, and they were nice the whole rest of the match. Like that literally happened, and that was kind of notable. Like it stood out in my mind. But anyway, things of the day. This is a cute little blog I found, and there's an article here, Japanese things in video games, and it's basically all these sprites.
You mean everything? Because video games are Japanese.
Yeah, but like
isn't everything in video games Japanese?
It's
Didn't they invent video games?
There are often sprites.
I guess they didn't invent video games. We invented Pong and stuff.
Or particular ways of drawing
things. They invented real
things
video games.
that like Japan. Like for example, it points out that Japan in video games almost always depicts apples as Fuji apples with like red on top and yellow on the bottom, and explains why that's just the way that they happen to draw things.
Okay.
And apparently, most people in the U.S. and much of the world have always thought that that was a pineapple in Pac-Man. But it's actually a honeydew or just a melon, because apparently in Japan they just call all different melons melons and don't really specify the money melon from the other melons.
And a honeydew doesn't taste like a cantaloupe. It's a different melon.
Yeah, but melon's just a generic term as far as I can tell.
Versus
but
a canary melon is way different.
Everyone always assumed that was a pineapple in Pac-Man. Apparently, it's actually a honeydew, which they would call a melon, and it just so happens that Japan, they always leave this T-shaped stem on it, and that's sticking out of the top. Everyone thought the sprite was either a grenade or a pineapple. Okay. But no, it's a honeydew melon. And my favorite line in this entire thing is peaches are always depicted in this implausible upside-down pose.
Is this all food-related?
Just the top. Here's a whole section on vegetables.
Okay.
And Western foods, and the association between fried chicken and Christmas. So this is just very interesting if you play a lot of like NES games, especially like those weird platformers that like you'd see for rental, but like you'd never really played that much. You'll see a lot of these as sprites, and now you'll know what the hell they are. I would have never have guessed that this thing was a baby pacifier.
Okay.
Got a thing of the day?
I do. So this dude, I don't know how much time he spent on this.
I mean, this baby rattle looks like a push pop.
Okay. It seems like this dude spent a lot of time on this. This video was released today, so this thing is brand new. He made a Doom mod, a WAD file that is a Doom mod, and it is a very small Doom map, but a very elaborate one that is Seinfeld's apartment.
Scott showed this to me. It's real good.
And you don't need to actually download the WAD and load it up. You can just watch the YouTube video. But one of the best YouTube comments says, "What's the deal with double-barreled shotguns?" And the best comment in reply to that is, "Why not have 3 barrels?" To which I say, why not have 3 barrels? That would be great and totally appropriate for a game like Doom.
God, sometimes I love the internet. In the meta moment, the book club book, a long time ago was The Wheel of Time. I'm literally in the last 100 pages of the last book of The Wheel of Time. But for the book club, you only had to read the first book of the 14 of The Wheel of Time, not counting New Spring, which is the 15th
Wait,
book.
did we do the episode on Wheel of Time yet?
Long time ago.
I was like, yeah, we did already, right?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
But the next book club book, which will start probably right after Kineticon, is Oryx and Crake by Margaret Atwood. I think that'll be fun. Otherwise, we're going to be at Kineticon. When is Kineticon?
The week after the 4th of July.
Yeah, which is the July 8th, 9th, and 10th in Hartford, Connecticut.
Like 3 weeks from now?
Yeah, something like that. We run the panels department. The panel schedule is mostly online. I got a little bit of work to do to get everything going, but Kineticon's the con. But I will warn you, our GeekNights listeners, there's some things that have changed that while the website is being very clear about this, I am 100% sure that at least 200 people who show up to Kineticon will not know that this change has occurred. The convention center closes at 9 instead of midnight, and then all the 9 p.m. to midnight content and the overnight content is in the Marriott Hotel connected. I think a lot of people do not know that, and it'll be very interesting, the people who are surprised when we kick them out of the convention center at 8:55. But Kineticon is always fun. I would not say fly to Kineticon.
No.
I would not say travel multiple days to Kineticon.
If you can get to Kineticon by use of a car or walking or bicycling.
Yep. Even a train. I'm taking Amtrak.
Within the same day, it's worth going to. I don't
Yeah.
know. Like, if you live in, New York City, is it really worth attending Kineticon by Amtrak as an attendee?
Yes.
I don't think so.
I would still go to Kineticon because one...
The price of the Kineticon ticket is so high.
well, I would get in for free, but... Plus, how high are all... We don't pay for conventions. I don't think you realize how expensive conventions have
I think
gotten over
only
the years.
PAX is more expensive than... I think
Dragon Con's not
Anime
cheap.
Boston is cheaper than Kineticon.
Anime Expo's not cheap if you want to go to anything.
You don't want to go to
apparently.
Anime Expo,
Nope.
though.
But I would go to Kineticon because I'll put it this way. One, it's the only con we can perform at that isn't gaming and anime.
That's not a reason to attend it. What's a reason to attend it by buying a ticket?
Other than PAX West, PAX East, PAX South, and PAX Australia and MagFest, it's the best tabletop convention in America.
Sure.
In terms of just
That's right.
playing
Fuck you,
tabletop
Gen
games.
Con, and fuck you, Origins.
Also, it actually has really good panels and the dealer's room. There are all that stuff. There's all the accoutrement of a convention, and it's a fun con to go to. I might even enjoy it more if I wasn't running everything. So we'll be there doing some panels too. But yeah, well, we'll see you there. Do not expect to hang out with us if you're there because we'll be busy. Otherwise, PAX Prime is coming up, and PAX Dev. We'll definitely be at PAX Prime, I assume, and hopefully we'll be doing a panel or two at PAX Prime. I'll be at PAX Dev. Maybe Scott will be at PAX Dev. We haven't decided yet. And otherwise, see you on the internet. Check out our YouTube videos. In particular, check out our series on me and Scott playing Civ 5 two-player games. Because two-player Civ 5 is weird. And it's,
Only military matters.
I did not defeat you militarily in the last game. I didn't do shit militarily.
You effectively
Oh,
did
no.
shit.
I just built a bunch of cities. That's all I did.
No, if you didn't build any military, then I could have caravanned all day.
Yeah, Scott, my huge military was one unit that walked over and blocked your transports.
Right, so I didn't have enough military to push your military out of the way. And
You should have had a stronger economy so where that wouldn't
But
have
that
been a
was
problem.
my economy, was those caravans.
Don't make your economy something so dependent on the military.
I don't know how. Well, that's the thing is there's no way to make an economy in Civ that isn't based on caravans.
There are ways.
How do you make a lot of money without caravans or cargo ships?
So in the videos, because I only put the videos up, once we finish a game, I start putting the videos together. In the next one, you'll see a trick that I pulled where I do build orders and do some bullshit. And you're going to be real mad at what I did.
How do you make money without caravans of cargo ships.
There's a few ways. One way that's real interesting, Scott, especially in a game like this, lose the race to build a wonder. If you are building a wonder and someone beats you to it, all the hammers you put into that turn into cash.
I didn't know that. I thought you just lose everything.
Every Civ, it's turned into cash.
I had no idea.
It turned into cash. In Civ 2, it was fine. I would very often, in fact, in Civ 5, I have often gone for wonders because I was so desperate for cash that either, hey, I got a wonder I didn't expect.
But you know what? In no Civ ever has there been like a pop-up when that happens that says you lost X hammers and gained X gold. So I never knew that. I never knew that until just now.
Well, you didn't know about the demographics tab until in the one game that I put on YouTube.
No, because all I do is I move my units and I click next turn. And if a city needs to build something, I choose it and I click next turn.
I move like individual workers.
I don't pay attention. I never in my whole life actually paid attention. Like in Civ 2 back in the day, I'd open up the city window and there'd be all these fucking numbers and pictures of barrels of grain and shit. I just ignored all of that.
Huh. That explains how things are going in the current game then. Good luck, have fun. So 6 days ago, Scott sent me a link to this Reddit thread, and it's a pretty amazing thread. Like, I spent a while, like, I've read a bunch of this thread, and it was enjoyable. And the title of it is, what is the strangest or most unusual strategy in a game you have seen that should never have worked, but wound up actually working? And we were thinking about this because we talk a lot about how, like we just did in the opening in the Overwatch news, how a lot of people play games, but kind of like how a lot of people watch sports, but don't know, like they don't follow sports that deeply, or they have a hobby, but they're kind of idly into it. Like people who say they're into movies or TV, but they don't really know much about them. They kind of consume them and watch them, but that's about it. Games are the same way. They're like any other hobby. And it was interesting to see all these people.
Right, think about how many people watch Star Wars. Most people who live in civilized society that have access to movies. How many people know who Mon Mothma is? Okay, so how many people play board games? Tons of people. Board games are getting we've been playing them since like our lives, but Eurotype since like 2000. It's only been getting more popular over the past 16 plus years, right? And still increasing in popularity. But how many of those board game people, right, really understand when you should craft and when you should captain in Puerto Rico and why?
Now, what's really
interesting, not the same percentage as people know who John Dodonna is.
Yeah,
Dodonna.
I guess what's different about this though, like what makes it kind of really interesting to me, and again, everything that's about to follow is all in good fun because reality is people.
No, Rim's basically just gonna insult all those people who don't know who Mon Mothma is or what a both end looks like.
I'm okay with people.
And
he's
just
know.
saying that he's not insulting them, like someone who says this isn't racist, but I'm not insulting you, but.
But the thing is, with games, what's very interesting is that ostensibly
Rim thinks you're all stupid.
Games,
I only half agree,
are a thing you play. Like you're trying to win. You'd assume you're at least trying to win.
If there is a win.
Or at least, or you think you're trying to win. Or you're playing patty cake and you're just trying to complete patty cake successfully. Or maybe you're not. Maybe you're trolling in patty cake.
Maybe it's Mario Paint.
It is very interesting to me how many people will say that board gaming is a significant hobby for them and play board games a lot. Like to the point that it is the primary it is the primary social currency they bandy about. And yet they literally never get better at games.
They don't have an analytical mindset, and they don't try. They don't, they're focused more on the drinking than the gaming.
Yep.
They like the gaming, but they don't like, they don't like losing, right? They just like, fooling around and moving pieces around. They don't, think about winning and care. And even if they did care about winning, they can't because they don't think the right way. Another
thing I have noticed that's kind of a side thing is there's a lot of people out there who mostly play games with one group of people, and that seems to be the source of most of the posts in this Reddit. Because it's basically like me and Scott.
I think most board game people are exactly that way. They have one group, especially if you're in the suburbs. They have their group of players, and that's the only people they ever play with ever.
So even if you're all smart and like super trying to win and like even trying to like analyze the games, if your group sort of falls into this rhythm, it's very likely that there will be a strategy that no one in your group happened to think of. That's just how it goes in a small community. Like the legends.
Even if you're a really amazing player, right? You need you need someone to play against to push you, to get to find the optimal path. Otherwise, you'll find some path that is really strong against the people you play against.
A local maxima, perhaps.
Right, but if you play that way against people who are actually any good, you'll still get hosed, but you would never find the way to play against those people and win until you play against
What
them.
was the stories of the Go Masters going out to the
Right.
faraway province?
There was some Go Master who lived in the woods and no one ever beat him. And then, the Shogun was like, oh my God, I heard legends of this amazing Go Master undefeated from the woods. Invite him to the capital. So he comes to the capital and he just gets blitzed by all the actual Go Masters who actually play against each other in the capital.
So what I kind of want to do is this sort of experiment.
So here's a bunch of stories from Go Masters in the woods.
Yeah. The top comment, the 400-point most voted up thing is all sheep plus sheep port.
So first of all, that's not strange or unusual at all.
That's like, if the other players don't stop you, yeah, like, duh, just
Right.
do it.
Also, in Settlers, if there's a bunch of sheep tiles near the sheep port or a bunch of brick tiles near the brick port so that you don't have to build a lot of roads, because if you have sheep, you're not getting a lot of roads, right?
Yep.
That you can actually set that up, like, especially if you can put if you don't go to place the first settlement on like the 6 and the 8. If there's like a 5 or a 10 or something reasonably okay next to it, that you can put your starting settlement on the sheep port and a sheep and put your other one on a sheep, like you go fourth in placement and you can get sheep, then yeah, okay, sure, other people are going to get resources more often, but you only need to get 2 sheep to get 1 of anything automatically, so you can basically catch up to them even though you have lower odds.
And frankly, the people who...
And mathematically, it could be about equal, and then, of course, luck, if swings your way, if they're not rolling a lot of 6s and 8s, which can happen,
Yep.
you can win really easily. If, like, just a couple rolls where you get 2 sheep, it's just like, woo!
And what's even more interesting is if you don't... Like, if you let this happen... Like, the kind of person who would let someone get a sheep port and a bunch of easy access to sheep, those are the kinds of people who are going to lose to that person.
Right.
Anyway.
If I see
Rim
Rim's starting settlements are on like grain, and I see him put his first road aiming towards the grain port, I am going to put a settlement on the grain port to prevent him from putting a settlement on the grain port.
A Settlers game is determined entirely...
But someone who is not really good at Settlers isn't going to see that.
A Settlers game
I can
is
see it from the
by,
first road.
in this order. 1, do you know how the game works? Yes or no. And if that's tied, go down to the next tier, which is...
In fact, I don't even need to put a settlement. I just need to put my longest road to block you.
Number 2, how the dice shake out. Number 3, who placed their settlements where in the very beginning of the game. The only way you will ever see sheep port plus sheep, and actually of all the ports, sheep port plus sheep is probably the best one. Because then you're probably doing a sheep grain strategy. You're going to do the tripods and go for stiffy cards.
You need rock to get stiffy cards also, right?
Yeah, you can always get some rock with your sheep port. But...
I feel like the brick wood port is actually the best because you can use roads from all... You start on bricks and woods that have good odds. You get a lot of bricks and woods. You can road your way over to a brick or a wood port and put a settlement on it. Then use that. You keep getting bricks and woods, but through the rest of the game, without having to settle on the rocks, grains, and sheeps, you can get them using the port. So in the early game, you get the roads, and then you can upgrade to the cities, and then the game's probably over by then.
The only way you'll ever see this happen in a game of skilled players is if the person who does it had to go fourth.
Sure, yeah.
Because then you can guarantee your settlements.
If you're not going to get the good placement of going first or second on the high odds spots of where the 6s and 8s are,
you make a perfect combo.
You're going to need to use a port in order to catch up with your bad odds spots.
So here's what's real interesting. Well, here's a comment on that one. This is my very first game. I ruled sheep. I started naming them and eventually played my Monopoly dev card just to get more sheep in my sheep army. I didn't win the game.
You don't say.
But I felt like a winner.
You're supposed to trade away all your sheep and then play your Monopoly sheep card and then spend them all.
Wow, so someone else, here's a more fun way to use your Monopoly card. It'll make you end up with just as many friends as the game of Monopoly. It's always fascinating.
It's like, yeah, that's baby's first Settlers.
But to look at these kinds of discussions, because it's almost always people who like came up with a clever idea that they don't think anyone else has really come up with. Like,
it's like, dude, I've seen that at 16 years old, that move. That move, so, man...
Yep. Trade all the others. And often the strategies are bad, too. Like that Monopoly thing, that only works if it's kind of a noob game anyway, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if I see Rim is like, hey, anyone want sheep? And he starts trading sheep away. I'm like...
Scott's like, Rim never trades.
Yeah, well, also, I'm like, no, Rim, I don't want your fucking sheep. Give me them for free, maybe. That's about it. I see you trading away a big mountain of sheep. How about you just take your turn and we'll roll a 7? You got that fistful of sheep there. Throw some of them out to the robber.
pulled this off once. Yeah, a lot of people are obsessed with the sheep thing.
Whatever.
It's interesting too watching people explain like the situations they've run into. Now there's all these people talking about like 4s and 5s never get rolled and like 9s never get rolled.
What are you
like,
talking about? It's based on odds. There's dots on the numbers that tell you how much they get rolled.
There's general disdain for Catan. A lot of people, myself included, feel there's too much luck involved. I think that
There
feeling
is.
is only exacerbated by many folk, my family, that think it's 100% strategy.
It's more strategy than games they're used to.
Yeah. Oh, here's a good one. We have a friend who doesn't look at her cards in coup. Does that count? She's had enough success to have fun and use it regularly.
Well, it's a dumb game, first of all.
But there's all these people who seem like are really, really trying to explain whether or not this is a good or bad strategy. And a lot of them seem really...
It doesn't even matter really in coup if you look at your cards or not.
Yeah, well, you can do the same thing. In
You
any
just
of those
use
games.
whichever power is most advantageous.
Yep.
And in fact, against most people, the intimidation of not ever having looked at your own cards is enough to scare them.
Ooh, it makes it harder to read whether you're bluffing or not. Bluffing doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Not in a game like this.
Well, I mean, there are people who try to like actually read other people, like look at their eyes and whatever, but if you didn't look at your own cards, yeah, you don't know if you're bluffing or not. You're just doing whatever ability you want to use.
Whoa, here's someone who sees through the gnosis. This is great. It becomes impossible to know if you're bluffing or not, because you're not bluffing now, you're gambling. It changes the game to a game of probability, but since it's usually only for one player, blah, 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 it would utterly lose the nature of coup if the whole table played that way, I think. Yep, you're right, dude.
Yes.
All games, that's why we don't play Settlers. That game breaks down.
So we don't play coup.
That's why we don't play Citadels.
Played coup once, I was done.
Citadels became a game of literally everyone shuffles the cards and plays their round randomly every turn.
Not every turn, but, I'd always make it look like I was.
Yeah. What I would do is I would narrow it down to 2 that would be advantageous to me.
Yeah, because there's some that you pick, and it's like, yeah, if I pick this one, it's really just completely useless.
Like if I want to pick the bishop, I'd shuffle the bishop and some random card. So I got a 50-50 shot.
But like if I have a
bishop.
whole bunch of red cards, and I pick the merchant, it's like, it's not helping me. I need to either pick the warlord or like the assassin or the thief or something.
A lot of people talk about diplomacy, where my friend Kyle didn't ever say a word. We thought he was just being silly, bringing humor to a serious game, and didn't think of his movements. Later, he controlled most of Russia, Turkey, and the Balkans. We treated him as a threat, and we lost.
I mean, couldn't you see after like the first turn's orders that he took territory from you?
Well, I don't know. I mean, the problem with that game is that to ally with someone, diplomacy is actually very difficult to parse the interactions unless you've played it a lot. And even then, like, it takes a while to chart it out. So planning the interactions is very difficult. So I suspect among most people who play diplomacy, unless they play it like seriously and regularly, not coordinating with other people and only relying on yourself would probably do you really well for a really long time.
I mean, at least if not after the first turn, after the second turn, you see that this person who hasn't said anything has only gained territory. I would unite against them.
Well, you got to do some bullshit diplomacy with people then in a non-cooperative game.
I diplomacy with the people who were all, obviously he lost that territory. He gained that territory by taking it from someone, right? So, and hopefully it wasn't me. But if it was me, I would be, I'm the person next to him, right? So I picked the other person that lost territory to him. I was like, look, this guy took land from both of us in the last 2 turns. You and me were teaming up, take him out. I'd be like, you not talking person, either start talking or else we're coming for you, right? And then we go into a room with the other person, we make a plan to get him, and we get him.
But then if I was in the plan to get him, I'd just betray you.
Why? Now you're gonna just get killed in the back by the guy who's better than you.
Ooh, I had a friend who won a game of Small World Underground without declining his empire ever. He didn't win.
He must have had he didn't.
He destroyed.
Oh, well, that must have been A, an amazing empire.
Yep.
B, you didn't come into the board onto it.
Yep, no one attacked him. More importantly, Small World has a problem. Like Vinci was a...
Did he say what empire it was?
Let's see, Iron Dwarves.
What do Iron Dwarves, what are their bonuses?
I haven't played the underground version of Small World. Immortal Iron Dwarves, another person. I've seen Immortal Iron Dwarves run an entire game.
Do they have like super defense so you can't take them out easily? Is that what it is? So you can just...
The best way to counter Iron Dwarves is to I think he's typing wrong, kill off the dwarves so that by the time... What? I can't parse what this person typed.
Yeah, I mean, if they can't beat a guy who hasn't declined to Empire. But yeah, in Vinci/Small World, if you can defend your Empire, and because when you decline it, you basically take a turn of losing points, right? But
Yep.
then your new Empire gets you more points, where your declining one still gets you some points, and it evens out.
Yep, so you got to decline at least once in a standard strategy.
If you can defend and the territory you've claimed is large enough and worth enough points every turn that you won't actually gain any, and no one assaults you to decrease your point value, or they can't because your defense is so strong, you can just sit on it. It's perfect. What's wrong with that?
Now the problem
it's just calculating maximum points per turn.
The problem with that is you give up the opportunity cost of when you decline. The purpose of declining is to come back on the board and fucking roll someone else.
But if you're in first place, you don't need to roll someone else.
Yep, unless someone's getting close. So basically, you only decline if you're in that winning strategy. If there's a second place person who's close to you, you pick an opportune turn and just decline all over them. But otherwise, yeah, don't. Either
you guys must have been sucking so much that A, you didn't attack him, right? B, there was never a better civ to choose when he declined. So
you might have been in like a Nash equilibria situation where like no individual player declining would actually be better off personally.
Right. Also, they're just hanging out in first place. If they were in last place, yeah, they're going to decline. They needed to catch up by doing something, but...
Now, I wonder, because I haven't played Small World Underground, but it's possible, too, that the Iron Dwarves might be slightly degenerate.
Maybe.
And that's
I don't know what they do. Look up what they do.
I'll look up what they do. Immortal Iron Dwarves. But Small World, unlike Vinci, has a set number of turns.
That's true.
Dwarves. As opposed to Vinci, where the game ends when someone gets to a certain number of points. So with a fixed number of turns, there's a lot more determinism to how the game will go.
Does immortal mean they don't die? Like you just always have the same number of dudes, even if they get killed?
So all I found is all these threads of people saying immortal Iron Dwarves fucking win the game and they never decline. There are multiple there's threads on Board Game Geek.
What do they do though?
Silver Hammers.
Does immortal mean they don't die? Like you get killed and you put them back on the board next turn?
Let's see.
Because that's the reason you decline, is because your empire's shrinking because people are killing it off. If they're immortal, as the word says, then yeah, you don't need to decline. You still have the same number of dudes you had before.
There's mines. There's some complicated shit, so the rules don't make sense without the wider context of the additions in Small World Underground, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I suspect degenerate combos are a much bigger problem in the Small World variant than in the original Vinci, just because of the deterministic number of turns.
Yep.
Because you can predict if there's only 3 turns, then if I decline now, then I'll come in on the board next turn, then I've got one more turn, as opposed to Vinci of, will the game end? Let's figure it out. I could make the game end, like that kind of stuff.
Yep.
I won code words by randomly guessing words that were far away from the other words of my team's color. Shouldn't have worked, but we won.
I mean, I guess you can win that by luck, sure.
Yeah. You can also win that by clever innuendo. Or just by being very good friends with someone.
The right way to play it?
Yeah. I've seen people win Sheriff of Nottingham by focusing almost exclusively on illegal goods. Lies, bribes people at least 80% of the time. People say playing honest is best. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's a luck game. If you can play Sheriff of Nottingham and you happen to have like 5 apples in your hand, that is the best possible thing you could do.
Right. Because it's a win-win no matter what, right? And if no one calls you out, you at least get the minimum number of points of the 5 apples. And if they open your bag, you're just getting even more points, and you get your 5. You don't basically only benefit, right? You can get this much or that much and more. So that's with honesty. But if you don't have a lot of legal goods, why not try the illegal goods? You can get negative a little bit, maybe not much. You can maybe put in some legal ones to cancel it out. And if you get through, super big money. It's there's not really any sort of weird strategy in Sheriff of Nottingham. It's like pretty much any move is valid.
Well, I think most strategies people come up with rely on trying to second guess other people poison cup situations.
Yeah, no, it's just put whatever the fuck you want in the bag and then go for it. It's like, it's you're either gonna open it or they're not, right? So
there's a strategy I was gonna try at some point, but I was thinking of always putting 4 goods in my bag no matter what, and always offering a 2-coin bribe no matter what.
I mean, if I have 5 apples, why would I put 4 apples?
Well, for consistency, to remove any human aspect.
You're just losing a point if you do that.
Maybe.
Maybe more than a point.
This guy's favorite play in Sheriff is stuffing a bag with 5 crossbows, and making the offer, I'll give you 10 gold if you open everyone's bag, including my own. That's a clever sort of gambit to scare the sheriff, I guess.
I'd say, okay, give me the 10, and then I'll open all the bags.
Including his.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like you said.
Because actually, the penalty to the sheriff of opening a bag that was legit is way less bad than the penalty to you if the sheriff opens your bag and you were lying bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's real bad if you have 5 crossbows and the sheriff's like, let me open that bag. What's going on in there?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I like Sheriff of Nottingham. Looks like there's a lot of people talking about it, but the game is not a super good. Like, if you
I don't know how you put that in a thread of unusual strategy, because the game has no unusual strategy.
Yeah.
It's like there's no valid or invalid moves.
Ooh, we played one game of Catan where I just went for dev cards. I guess this guy rediscovered the old stiffy card strategy.
You don't say. You did. You only had, you didn't build
Wait.
roads.
Not the usual Wheat and Stone city and development card strat, just development cards because he couldn't build any settlements. He ended up getting 9 points. Oh, he's talking about cities and knights.
No,
Totally different game.
Whatever.
Yep, that's not that. Let's see. Ticket to Ride. We discovered the best way to get points was to build one good distance route and then pick up tickets you can hopefully finish with a minimal number of branches off your main route.
That's the basic.
Yeah.
That's not unusual. That's how you win Ticket to Ride. Every time I win Ticket to Ride, which is most of the times I've played, I have a big-ass long route, and all of my smaller routes are contained within it. So I put down, a train is doing double duty and completing multiple routes.
Oh, this guy's a troll. I ended up having an awful game once, so I got pissed off and decided to screw everyone else by spending every turn picking up tickets and keeping them all. I had no intention of trying to finish them. I was just playing a material denial strategy to prevent my friends from doing well. I ended with negative 143 points. You're just a dick, dude.
Yeah, fuck you.
This guy claims to have won a paper, rock, scissors tournament by always picking rock.
Maybe. It's not unusual, though.
Yeah.
No one noticed.
Oh, there's a bunch of people talking about in viticulture winning the game by not making any wine.
Wasn't there a situation where they changed the rules so you can't do that?
Yeah, they had to errata that, which that's a whole separate situation. That's viticulture. When we first played it, it's not that it's necessarily that bad of a game. Like, it's clever and I like a lot of what it's doing, but it was
the part
really,
where the aging of the wines is a little messed up and overcomplicated.
Yeah, it was like the concepts were too muddled and it was very inelegant mechanically.
Yeah.
So I suspected that any deep analysis would find a bunch of either broken strategies or degenerate stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like there was one. Yep. By the end of winning, didn't make any wine, not one bottle. And people are talking about it.
Just give wine tours?
Yeah, they had to make specific errata to fix that.
Mm.
The problem with
why did you award someone victory points in your rules for doing something that wasn't making wine in the winemaking game?
Well, in Kalis, you can make money by pleasing the king in the giant castle. Is the whole focus of the game, or just by going after gold and other stuff.
That's not easy to do though. And actually, those tiles like expansion special tiles that weren't in the original.
Yeah. If you didn't have that, there's really only one way to win Kalis.
Yeah.
Unless everyone sucks.
Mm.
There's a lot of talk about the rules of people are not sure what rules are in. It's like these people look like they're arguing about how to score farmers in Carcassonne.
So these people are into board games enough that they're in the board game Reddit subreddit and they're
discussing
hanging out
errata.
and commenting, but they don't understand the actual games they're playing.
Well, to be fair, in this case, different rule books say different things. Like, people don't know. Quote, any link on this errata? Like, they don't know about the errata.
Yeah, but I'm saying in general.
I would definitely like to shut this strategy down. It's kind of a
How about you just don't play that crappy game?
It's kind of a side point, but the games that come out of, like, the traditional, like, Eurogamer circuit seem to have a lot of playtesting and tend to be at least elegant or don't have degenerate strategies like that. Like, they'll break down in other more fundamental ways in the long run, because all games break down. But all these Kickstarter games and, like, a lot of the games that are coming out of the US or coming out of, like, newer game designers, they seem to skimp on the playtesting and, like, not notice these really bad degenerate strategies, like, long after they've published the game.
Yep.
That seems like a trend.
Mm.
Oh my God, people are talking about that a lot. Friend tried a strategy where he chose Prospector every time he chose a role in San Juan and beat us soundly.
You guys just sucked.
Also, San Juan's not a good game.
Yeah.
I could see Prospector working pretty well because the game is
if
so
everyone
reliant.
keeps choosing everything else for you,
Well, that game's also heavily
Prospector only
reliant-
benefits you when you take it, right?
It's just so reliant on the cards you get. Like, if you happen to get
Silver.
a handful of silver mines, just play the I'm only building silver mine strategy. You'll almost guaranteed win.
That's how we always won.
Yep. The only time I wouldn't win with that is if I didn't draw silver mines.
It sucked.
My daughter, who was 5, was playing Love Letter and discarded the Countess on her first turn. It turned out her other card was the Priest. I thought she was making a mistake. She wasn't. She was screwing with us. I threw us off so bad. Round ended pretty quickly. That kind of stuff just happens in really small, short games. I mean, if there's only a few cards and you draw them, the odds are weird combos come up pretty often. Also, Love Letter is fun because it's quick, but it's not enjoyable.
That's also what you get for trying to play the player and not play the game.
Yeah. Thing is, most of these kinds of games will break down to trying to play the player or doing the poison cup thing.
Don't do that.
We were playing a Ticket to Ride game with a card hoarder who was a new person to our group. All right, so a stranger came to town. We were warned she claims routes only near the end of the game and wins every time. So
you even knew what the strategy was in advance.
Oh, apparently they crushed her. Nobody had ever tried to block her routes before.
Oh, okay.
So this was the stranger comes to town with the undefeated record and the weird strategy, and she comes to town, and in the town, they're like, we just won't let you finish those routes. Now what? What?
Yeah,
What?
all the routes have been taken. What are you going to do, card hoarding person?
Yep. I'll card hoard in Alhambra, actually. I'll card hoard in Alhambra. Like, ignore the first scoring round.
Yeah, that works a little bit.
Hoard the hell out of those. Like, if you can pick up like a 1-1-2, like little currency, go for it. Just get a giant hand of 1s and 2s.
Isn't there a limit on cards in your hand in Alhambra?
I'm pretty sure there's no limit on cards in your hand.
I don't remember.
In Splendor, there's a limit of 10.
Yeah.
That's real important, or Splendor wouldn't work. I've been playing Splendor lately.
I don't lose at Splendor too much. So.
There was a pretty close game the other night. It was us and the girls, and Natalie was like primed to win, but the whole time Emily was building up this combo, and then suddenly Emily was like, points over, game over.
Yeah,
Emily
I mean,
wins.
I've tried to do both the get lots of small ones and then start getting free stuff machine.
Yep.
And I've also tried the big stuff one, and I think the small stuff one is just better.
Yeah.
I get the cards come out. It's on my turn. I get a free card. Eventually, it's like I only have to take tokens in the early game, and pretty much every turn after that is just card.
And you'll end the game with like a few big ones,
and then I have
like two or three of the nobles.
Well, I have to get the nobles. Yeah, so I usually get 2 or 3 nobles, and I end the game.
I usually go for that if I see multiple nobles with a heavy overlap of what they want. But it's real easy if there's something you could get for free that is not in the combo of the nobles. You're gonna have the discipline to not take it. Like, don't take the freebie that literally doesn't help you. Spend that turn picking up gold or something.
Depends how many victory points it's worth. Sometimes there's a card worth like 3 points, and nobles worth 3 points.
I once won a 3-player 7 Wonders game by not building a single resource. Yeah, that's like strategy number 4.
Yeah.
That is like a game strategy. Concentrate on stringing
This
buildings
isn't
together.
unusual.
Yeah.
Is there any strategies in this thread that are actually meet what the title of the thread says, which is unusual?
Well, they might be unusual for that group.
Sure.
Founding Fathers. I'm looking for game of Mafia. Oh, Mafia with 3 Mafia and 12 Town. One of the Mafia outed himself and offered himself to the chopping block. No one believed him, and the Mafia won.
Okay.
The only thing I say about Mafia is I do still enjoy that game if played like once a year, like Illuminati.
I just want to play it the original way. The Mafia have to communicate during the day.
Probably the most poignant moment is sort of proving the breakdown of those like perfect strategies. Is a friend of ours, I think it was Phil. The game started, he was obviously not Mafia, and he was like, guys, and he was like, let's just systematically eliminate everyone. We're guaranteed to win. And he's trying to outline the strategy. And all the Mafia just like played along with it, but then acted confused and started to mess stuff up. And it like one round, the strategy failed, it misfired, and then it was too late. And the Mafia were guaranteed to win. It was over. You can disrupt those things socially pretty easily. Dracula, Pirate Lord of the High Seas, Fury of Dracula. That is a game strategy once again. I've played that round where you start on an island, you go ocean, ocean, double back, ocean, and just basically stay off the map for a while.
Yep. It's too easy for them to find you on land.
Yeah. Tragedy Looper? I don't know what that game is. Village. Very smart move. Does one of your family members begin promising to occur at town hall and have him die of a heart attack on his first day? Yeah, that game is all about killing your people. like as soon as possible. Like kill people early and often.
Yep.
Which is actually why I don't like the game, because the conceit of the game sort of breaks like what the fiction of the game world is, and like the analogy of it kind of breaks down when the strategies really break down to kill people all the time and push the clock.
I think that the problem in the game is simply the timing and pacing of it. It should be a game where you can get a lot more work out of people before they die, and then you would get more stuff happening, right? It seems like, it'd be more fun that way.
There are a bunch of people complaining about winning games of Small World without ever declining. This is regular Small World. Skeletons, fortified, kept putting fortresses down till I was maxed out. Positioned myself to where going after me would be costly. Just waited. And it worked.
Yeah, because anyone who goes after you to prevent you from winning will not be the winner, and
Yep.
you won't be the winner either. One of the other people who don't bite the bullet will be the winner. But if no one does it, you're gonna win.
Risk taking over Asia first.
What's unusual about that? If you can take over Asia, you can win the game.
Yeah, I mean it's just dice. You might get lucky.
Score the highest point continent first. Okay, how was that unusual?
Stone Age starvation strategy. Grow a really large family, ignore farming and food 100%. Apparently that's a winnable strategy.
Not in Agricola, though.
Nope. I kind of have a problem with all the games that followed after Agricola that are like in that vein of like make a machine and then you got to feed your people, because they all like the analogies start to break down, and Le Havre like doesn't fucking make any actual sense. It's not a bad game, it just doesn't make any sense.
Whatever.
2-player Blockus, I went first. He mirrored every single move of mine for the entire game except the very last move.
They win?
He played a better piece and won. We never played it again.
Why didn't you play that same piece?
Uh,
Also, 2-player... All right,
well,
so
she went first. He went second.
in 2-player Blockus, it should be possible for you to play in such a way that they cannot mirror you because you fucking blocked them.
Yep.
Why you played a piece in every turn that which could just be mirrored so that you had the exact same score, and then on the very final piece when you could only each play one more piece, you had the exact same board, you played a suboptimal piece that they could play a better one? So you just were stupid.
Not sure if this is strange or the best, but in Camel Up, which he spelled wrong, I never roll unless I am first to play on that leg. Other than that, I always leg bet tiles or overall bets.
Yes, I only roll after a whole bunch of betting has happened.
No, but he never rolls unless he is the first to play on that leg. If I'm going first,
why
I
would you go
bet.
first and give everyone else free information and just take $1 for yourself?
It sounds like the opposite of what he should do.
Yes,
I mean,
you should be betting first, or the first thing you want to do is put your oasis or your desert out.
Now, it depends how many players there are, because if you're playing with a small number of players, you roll.
You're going to get more actions.
Yeah, it'll come back around to you, and all the things you could have taken won't, like, I could see that working, but in a full game, no way. Oh, okay, winner of the thread. Someone asterisk was like, it's Camel Up. Someone else said, no, it's Amel Cup. You're the winner. Con Manao. That's the funniest thing I've seen all day.
Can I go eat now?
You want to be done?
I want to be done.
All right, let me see if I'm going to skip through this. Cash and guns. I'm skipping through. There's a lot of interesting stuff in this thread. We'll just leave it at that.
Good.
I'm hungry. This has been Geek Nights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music, Kat Lee for web design, and Brando K for the logos.
Be sure to visit our website at frontrowcrew.com for show notes, discussion, news, and more.
Remember, Geek Nights is not one, but 4 different shows. Sci-Tech Mondays, Gaming Tuesdays, Anime Comic Wednesdays, and Indiscriminate Thursdays.
Geek Nights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Geek Nights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.
And the patrons and the amount of money that they give us on a regular, continuing basis are... Alan Joyce, Rebecca Dunn, Nicholas Brando, Heidi McNichol, Amanda Duchette, James David White, Christian, close parentheses, Kuntz, MyStady.com, Sean Hayworth, William Eisenrose, Jeremy Miner, Chris Reimer, and Thomas Hahn, Israel, Iggy Kidd, Matthew Smith, Kishar Tavishan, Joshua Joestar, Tyler Eller, Don Schleich, Sean Yeager, Clinton Walton, Ren from New Zealand, Robert Lee, Ryan Perrin, Drew Openlander, Ray Lavelle, Brian Citroni, Rochelle Montanona, Finn Eric Silverrod, Chris Reimer, and Thomas Hahn, Aaron Cerise, Chris Midkiff, Chris Knox, Flame Darkfire, Sam Cordry, Daniel Redmond, Chris Haddad, Sean Klein, Chris Reimer, and Thomas Hahn. Multiple of you conspired to make me laugh, and that credit points to. But yeah, many of you have been playing Overwatch with me. Many of you will be playing Overwatch with me. Valhalla just came out. I say everyone's playing that instead of Overwatch. But Kineticon coming up. Basically done doing the schedule and a lot of the work I have to do before Kineticon. So hopefully this weekend I should get another remastered GeekNights up. I got a whole queue of Rim's Rants. And more importantly, I should have the Utena episode 15 up too. It's mostly edited. I just haven't had time to finish it, getting all the Kineticon work done. But after Kineticon, I have nothing significant to do until PAX. And PAX panels are a lot easier to write because I don't have to schedule the entirety of PAX. I just have to do one or maybe two panels. So anyway, now I leave you with something on.
Here's the baby's bath. Here's the baby. I'm not even going to try and draw arms and legs. So, sad baby because, quite frankly, yeah, electricity. And just for the sake of completeness, let's put its Mr. Whippy in its head. Whippy, whippy, whippy. And here's the electrode. Plugged into the wall, accidentally. There's the water. And this would act as a potential divider. It would put out, if that was 220, this would be putting out 110, roughly the midpoint of, well, unless of course, actually how does that go? It's quite complex. It's quite an odd resistor network. But other than that, the water would be forming another resistor from the midpoint of that. Oh, this is boiling quite ferociously now. The currents, the voltage, the power's going down. But yes, so touching the baby, if it was dropped into that water, you would get a shock, but it would depend on the conductivity of the water, how far the baby was from the electrode, and how grounded you were at the time. So rubber gloves for baby handling in live water, perhaps.